Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Venus. This is part 2 of my most anticipated reads of 2024. The first video was starting to get a little too long, so I decided to split it up. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the sci-fi, fantasy, and romance books that I am most looking forward to in 2024. So let's get started. So first up, we're going to start with sci-fi, and the first book I want to talk about is Disquiet Gods by Christopher Rocchio. This is book number 6 in the Sun Eater series. I'm not caught up on this series. I've only read the first book, but I absolutely loved it. I really didn't get to read too many sci-fi books this year, so I'm hoping to change that in 2024 and get caught up with this series. But in the Sun Eater series, we are following Hadrian. He is kind of born into wealth, but finds himself on his own. And a lot of crazy stuff happens in this epic sci-fi fantasy series. Hadrian is kind of known as a hero and an evil destroyer of the sun. There are aliens in this, which I absolutely love. And I have no direction that the book is taken from book 1 to book 6, but I hear only wonderful things about this series. So I am looking forward to getting caught up and reading this book when I can. The next sci-fi book is a new series starting, and it's by James S.A. Corey, the authors of the Expanse series, which I absolutely love, but another series I am not finished with. And so the first book is called The Mercy of the Gods, and the series is called The Captives' War. I do love this part. It says, David Alcor is a simple man swept up in the events that are beyond his control and more vast than his imagination. He will become the champion of humanity and its betrayer, the most hated man in history and the guardian of his people. This is where his story begins. I love that. I love taking a simple scientist and then putting them in a situation that completely changes not only their life but the history of humanity. That sounds so good. And if the series is written anywhere near as good as the Expanse series, then I know it's going to be a new favorite. I'm sorry, these are kind of completely out of order of when they come out, but another one I wanted to talk about is Exit Black by Joe Pitkin. This one says Die Hard meets The Martian with a dash of Knives Out, and this action-packed sci-fi thriller. Imperium is the most expensive structure ever created. Once an orbiting laboratory, it is now a space hotel for the fantastically wealthy. But as the station preps for its first group of space tourists, Dr. Chloe Bonilla, Imperium's resident biophysicist, finds herself questioning whether babysitting a passel of space glampers is worth the distraction from her research. So I don't know if this is like sci-fi humor or I don't know. I'm interested by that when it says Die Hard meets The Martian with a dash of Knives Out. I'm interested. Now we are getting into fantasy, and first up is Emily Wilde's Maps of the Other Lands by Heather Fawcett. This is the second book in the Emily Wilde series. First one is, I think, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which I absolutely love. And so this is a sequel. I can't really tell you too much, but Emily Wilde is a socially awkward professor, and she went to, I can't remember where in the first book, it's a very cold area to study fairies for her encyclopedia, and her co-worker, Wendell Bamblebee, comes to help her kind of do her research, and she discovers some very interesting things about Wendell. It was a really fun book. I don't necessarily love books about fairies, but in this case, it works very, very well. I was very excited to get the ARC for this one, so I hope to read that. Actually, I think it's on my TBR for this month because the next book comes out in January. I love the fairies in this, the world building, the relationship between Emily and Wendell was very interesting. And so I can't wait to see where this second book goes. The next book is The Trials of Empire by Richard Swan. This is the third book in the, what is it called? The Empire of the Wolf trilogy. And I am absolutely loving this series. Can't go into too much of what obviously this third book is about. But so in the first book, Justice of the Kings, we are following Sir Conrad von Valt, his assistant, his protege, Helena. Von Valt is like a detective, a judge, an executioner, and Helena is just kind of along telling his story from her point of view, and it's just a very interesting series, and it has a lot of very intriguing magic with religion, and I don't want to give too much away because the second book was so good. It took me a little bit the first part of it was I was a little bored, and then it picked up very, very quickly. And the way that it ended, I cannot wait to pick up the third book. I highly recommend the series. This is definitely one of my all-time favorite as of right now. So I cannot, hopefully it ends well. So I can't wait to read this one. The next fantasy book is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, and this is the first in a series called Shadow of the Leviathan. I started this author's the Foundries trilogy a couple years ago, and I ended up DNFing it just because he went into too much detail about the magic, and I was getting very, very bored. It was like taking away from the main story, which I was loving, but it was getting too descriptive of the magic system. So I am willing to give this author another chance because I overall really enjoyed his writing style. So I'm excited to see where this one goes. And this one, it says, in D'Artagnan's most opulent mansion, a high imperial officer lies dead, killed to all appearances when a tree spontaneously erupted from his body. So this sounds like kind of a Sherlock Holmes detective situation. Anna, one of the investigators, is very eccentric and seems to have some weird quirks to her. And then at her side is a new assistant. Den is an engraver magically altered to possess a perfect memory. As the two close in on a mastermind and uncover a scheme that threatens the safety of the empire itself, Den realizes he's barely begun to assemble the puzzle that is Anna and wonders how long he'll be able to keep his own secrets safe from her piercing intellect. And it says, featuring an unforgettable Holmes and Watson style pairing, a gloriously labyrinthine plot, and a haunting and a wholly original fantasy world. It's getting pretty good reviews. So far, from 433 reviews, it has a 4.40 star rating. So that sounds good. I did get approved for an ARC for this one. I don't know how I got approved for so many of these, but just as many have been denied as well. So it's definitely a balance there. I don't get approved for any romance books, basically. The next one is The Dead Cattail Assassins by P. Djali Clark. This one is short. It's only 224 pages. I was approved for an ARC for this one too. Very, very lucky. I'm excited because I love anything with assassins in it. It says, Evine the Eviscerator is skilled, discreet, professional, and here for your most pressing needs in the ancient city of Tal Abisi. Her guild is strong, her blades are sharp, and her rules are simple. Those sworn to the matron of assassins, resurrected, deadly, wiped of their memories, have only 3 unbreakable vows. First, the contract must be just. That's above Evine's pay grade. Second, even the most powerful assassin may only kill the contracted. The third, once you accept a job, you must carry it out. And if you stray, a final death would be a mercy. When the festival of the Clockwork King turns the city upside down, Evine's newest mission brings her face to face with a past she isn't supposed to remember and a vow she can't forget. So this is the author of Ring Shout and A Master of Jin. I have not read either. I think I tried to read Ring Shout, but I just really couldn't get into it. And I've heard really good things about both of these. So I am interested to see if I like this one. Next one is How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying by Django Wexler. This one just says a young woman stuck in a time loop tires of defending humanity from the Dark Lord and decides to become the Dark Lord herself. That's all it says. It seems like it's going to be like a fun read. I don't know. So I'm interested. Then we have The Fireborn Blade by Charlotte Bond. This says, kill the dragon, find the blade, reclaim your honor. It's that or end up like countless knights before her as a puddle of gore and molten armor. Madeleine is a knight. There aren't many women in her line of work, and it often feels like the sneering and contempt from her peers is harder to stomach than the actual dragon slaying. But she's a knight and made of sterner stuff. A minor infraction forces her to redeem her honor in the most dramatic way possible. She must retrieve the fabled Fireborn Blade from its keeper, legendary dragon, the White Lady, or die trying. Madeleine's tale contains a rich history of dragons, ill-fated knights, scheming squires, and sapphic love with deceptions and double crosses that will keep you guessing right up to its dramatic conclusion. This one sounds really good. I'm very excited to read this one. Is this a series? No, it looks like it's a standalone. So I love the cover. I hope the dragons friends are a big part of it. I'm excited for this one. And now we are into romances, and the first one is Funny Story by Emily Henry. I have really enjoyed pretty much all of the books that I've read by her. The last one wasn't my favorite. I think I love her books more when it really concentrates on the romance and doesn't put in, like, I think in the last one there was friends, a group of friends that were involved. In the book before that, it was like a sister's side story going on. I really just wanted to focus on the two main characters. Those are the books that I enjoyed most by her. My two favorite books by Emily Henry are Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation. So I really want her to get back to that, just kind of concentrating on the two main characters, but I'm still going to read it. This one says, Daphne always loved the way her fiance Peter told their story, how they met on a blustery day, fell in love over an errant hat, and moved back to his lakeside hometown to begin their life together. He really was good at telling it, right up until the moment he realized he was actually in love with his childhood best friend, Petra. Which is how Daphne begins her new story, stranded in beautiful Waning Bay, Michigan, without friends or family, but with a dream job as a children's librarian that barely pays the bills, and proposing to be roommates with the only person who could possibly understand her predicament, Petra's ex, Miles Noack. Okay, this is a little twisted. Scruffy and chaotic, with a penchant for taking solace in the sounds of heartbreak love ballads, Miles is exactly the opposite of practical, buttoned-up Daphne, whose co-workers know so little about her, they have a running bet that she's either FBI or in the witness protection. The roommates mainly avoid one another until one day, while drowning in their sorrows, they form a tenuous friendship and a plan. If said plan also involves posting deliberately misleading photos of their summer adventures together, well, who could blame them? But it's all just for show, of course, because there's no way Daphne would actually start her new chapter by falling in love with her ex-fiance's new fiance's ex, right? Sounds like it could be funny. I don't know. That's pretty twisted, but we'll see. The new Emily Henry book. One of my absolute favorite romance authors is Abby Jimenez, and her new book, Just for the Summer, comes out in 2024, and I am very excited for this. And Emily Henry's books, they're both these two are auto-buy authors for me. So in this one, it says, Justin has a curse, and thanks to a Reddit thread, it's now all over the internet. Every woman he dates goes on to find their soulmate the second they break up. When a woman slides into his DMs with the same problem, they come up with a plan. They'll date each other and break up. Their curses will cancel each other's out, and they'll both go on to find the love of their lives. It's a bonkers idea, and it just might work. Emma hadn't planned that her next assignment as a traveling nurse would be in Minnesota, but she and her best friend agree that dating Justin is too good of an opportunity to pass up, especially when they get to rent an adorable cottage on a private island on Lake Minnetonka. It's supposed to be a quick fling just for the summer, but when Emma's toxic mother shows up and Justin has to assume guardianship of his 3 siblings, they're suddenly navigating a lot more than they expected, including catching real feelings for each other. What if this time fate has actually brought the perfect pair together? I know Abby Jimenez is going to come and bring many tears out of me in reading this book. I already have a feeling, so I am very excited for this one. And the last romance is The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. I've loved most of their books except for their last one, Something Wilder, which I absolutely hated, but I'm hoping that I am a fan of theirs again after reading this book. So this one sounds like a fake dating. West is set to inherit a massive inheritance from his family's grocery chain, and Anna is broke, it looks like. They get married and then supposedly sign divorce papers, but it says due to an antiquated clause in his grandfather's will, Liam won't see a penny until he's been happily married for 5 years. Oh, Liam is West. I'm like, who's Liam? Liam West. That's his name. Just when Liam thinks he's in the home stretch, pressure mounts from his family to see this mysterious spouse, and he has no choice but to turn to the one person he's afraid to introduce, his 1%er parents, his unpolished, not-so-ex-wife. But in the presence of his family, Liam's fears quickly shift from whether the feisty, foul-mouthed, paint-splattered Anna can play the part to whether the toxic world of wealth will corrupt someone as pure of heart as his surprisingly grounded and loyal wife. Liam will have to ask himself if the price tag on his flimsy cover story is worth losing true love that sprouted from a lie. This one has potential. I am excited. Those are all of the books that I'm excited to read for 2024. It's a lot of them. It sounds like 2024 is going to be full of hopefully 5-star reads. We will see out of all of these, what are you most, or if I missed any that you are looking forward to reading, let me know down below. As always, thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you guys again soon. See ya.